Chairman of the Virgin Islands Party, Julian Fraser, was left in isolation when the Auditor General's report on the Seacoast Bay Development Project was tabled in the House of Assembly on September 11th.
Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 27L, and regarding the document laid on the table, entitled Auditor General's Report on the Seacoast Bay Harbour Development Project, I move that the document be debated.
Thank you, Honourable Member for the 3rd District. A motion has been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Move it. Move it.
Motion be debated. Document be debated.
You were consulting with your colleague, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and the Honourable Acting Premier rose on a point. So I am going to take another 5-minute recess while I allow you to consult, and then we will return.
Opposition leader and former Minister of Finance Ralph O'Neill abstained from seconding the motion moved by Fraser and showed no interest in joining the debate. In fact, with opposition members Andrew Foy and Alvin Christopher already absent, Fraser was left all alone on the opposition bench to defend the report.
Honourable members, before we recess, we had a motion on the floor to debate the Auditor General's report on the Seacoast Bay Harbour Development Project. Can I have a second for the motion, please?
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion. And Madam Speaker, while I'm on my feet, I would like to make my contribution to the motion.
Before you make a contribution, I need to put the question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
A motion has been moved and seconded that the Auditor General's report on the Seacoast Bay Harbour Development Project be debated. Those in favor?
Aye.
Lack of transparency, lack of information, failure to seek planning approval or to get it. It speaks about costing, and a number of issues are raised in this report, Madam Speaker. And it is interesting that the honourable member across the floor find it very necessary to put up a brave front and to deny any of the allegations, or he took a few hours, Madam Speaker, and went through the report himself in a with a very defensive attitude, flat out denial. Madam Speaker, and it's really interesting that he's there alone today. Oh God. It's like the cheese stand alone.
According to the Auditor General's report, there was a general absence of information regarding the development of the project, and multiple accounts were used across the recurrent and capital budgets, making it difficult to determine the overall cost of the project. Communications and Works Minister Mark Vanterpool said Fraser took sole responsibility for the project.
The contract was under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Labour, but the person who signed was the Minister of Communication and Works in the capacity of district representative. That's what the Auditor General said here.
What I do know, Madam Speaker, is there's a line, it used to be a line on every bill of quantities coming out of Public Works that went to district representatives to sign on. That's a bill of quantities, not a contract. So I don't know if that's what it was. I'm not seeing it. I knew that's a practice that I followed when I was Minister for Communication and Works, that any project coming out of Public Works, the district representative will sign the bill of quantities indicating that he is in agreement with this work going on in the district. So I don't know what this is all about.
I know what it's all about. And I think she has an idea what a contract is, what a bit of quantity is. And her statement says in number 19 that the contract was authorized by Honorable Fraser as district representative and signed by the permanent secretary in Natural Resources and Labor. What is telling me, Madam Speaker, is the same spirit that goes throughout the whole report. That the Honorable Fraser was controlling this project, whether he's in that ministry or this ministry or wherever he was. From day one. That's not how the government works. If you have a project, if you're in the Ministry of Communication and Works, or you're a representative for a district, you go to the minister responsible for the project, for the area, and you ask the minister to support you in what you're doing. And he has to sign off the contract. He has to sign off the contract, and ultimately, the Minister of Finance must sign the contract.
Fraser presented JTV News with a document that outlines his concerns and counterclaims to the allegations made by the Auditor General. In that document, he says the audit is not serious. He asked, how is it possible for there to be no records available when the ministry has a copy of every contract issued? He also suggested that the audit was not about truth because it did not reach out to the people who worked on the project.
And when the public officer, the accounting officer, is going to make statements like they were left out of the project. They were left out of this project as they were left out of all the other projects in the ministry, all the time. And the responsibility, how can you make a payment for a project, for work done, without the documents that are supporting the request for payment? It's impossible. These things don't happen.
Also in his counterclaim document, Fraser points out that expenditure information is accessible on the Lotus spreadsheet. He said there is nothing wrong with the recording of the accounts in the ministry. He says what is wrong is a severe deficit in experience in the audit department.